So, when I ask, what is Odoo? What comes to mind? Well, Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a suite of business management software that some people say is like fertilizer because of the way it promotes growth. But some people also say Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable. But then again, you could look at Odoo in terms of how its individual software programs are a lot like building blocks. I mean, whatever your business needs, manufacturing, accounting, HR programs, you can build a custom software suite that's perfect for your company. So what is Odoo? Well, I guess Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a fertilizer, magic beanstalk building blocks for business. Yeah, that's it. Which means that Odoo is exactly what every business needs. Learn more and sign up now at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
Hi, this is Joe from Vanta. In today's digital world, compliance regulations are changing constantly, and earning customer trust has never mattered more. Vanta helps companies get compliant fast and stay secure with the most advanced AI, automation, and continuous monitoring out there. So whether you're a startup going for your first SOC 2 or ISO 27001, or a growing enterprise managing vendor risk, Vanta makes it quick, easy, and scalable. And I'm not just saying that because I work here. Get started at vanta.com.
Gloria Mariwa, welcome to Sports Management Podcast.
Thank you, Marcus. I'm happy to be here.
It's great to have you on the show. You're a footballer, professional freestyler at the intersection of sports, tech, and gender equity. Also the founder of Wichesa and digital creator. So you're doing a lot of things. So can you tell us a little bit about a day in your life with all of these tasks that you're doing?
That's a tricky question because every day is different and unique in its own way. With my different roles, I have different responsibilities. So like today was a content day and I literally just finished editing a video a few minutes ago. So that was my main focus today. But then tomorrow could be planning for a project for Wecheza, like a Christmas tournament we're organizing with our team. And other days can just be me scrolling online because I need to keep up with the trends for the next content I'm releasing, whether it's on LinkedIn or on social media platforms.
Interesting. So let's take them one by one. I know you're a digital creator for 14th Gunner.
Yes.
So what does this role entail?
Well, it's up to me to decide, but then it's a whole mix of sharing my personal journey in football and the sports industry, plus also promoting women's sports with a focus on football. So it can be from when a tournament comes up, like the World Cup or Olympics, covering that with an African focus, because I am African, I need to represent part of me. But other times can just be me doing a football freestyling skills video or just taking something that has happened in my life recently and turning it into an interesting story that people can learn from. Yeah.
Interesting. So what does the name come from, 14th Gunner?
I actually love that you asked that. So if you don't know, I'm a big Arsenal fan and Gunners are Arsenal fans. And at the time of creating this when I was 15, I loved the number 7. I still do. But then it's such a common selected number. So I was like, what's better than 1 7, 2 7s? So I just did 7 plus 7 and I got 14. But 14th Gunner just sounded plain. So I was like, let me add that for some spice. And then 14th Gunner was born. But before that, it was called Gunneria on Twitter. That's where I started. And that sounded disgusting. So I'm happy that 14th Gunner came up. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a better name for sure. Now you have grown that community into 60,000 plus people across TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Also created some viral moments with millions of views. So how's the journey look like to achieve this success?
Just like every journey, the progress is definitely not linear. I started out not even knowing that I would go this far, honestly, because as I said, Twitter was my first platform and I created the account when I noticed that Arsenal had a women's football team. I didn't know that until late 2021. Mind you, I've been an Arsenal fan since birth, technically. So when I found out, I was just so excited and I wanted to share that joy with everyone and anyone online. But I knew too many people on Instagram. I didn't want anyone to know me, so I went to the platform that I had no one connected to me with, and that was Twitter before Elon Musk bought it. So yeah, from there, I would just like repost all things on Arsenal women. For some time, it was just strictly them. But over time, I changed to general women's football and now women's sports. And this would be like fun graphics, congratulating players on some wins, like one that would score 100 goals, make 50 appearances, signing with the club. I still remember the Tobin Heath signing. That was such a big one for me. It was just a fun page with me being a fan girl at 15. But then in 2022, around the mid side of it, I moved on to Instagram and started posting videos of me doing skills. And from there, I just kept on growing. Then I moved to TikTok, also around mid 2022. Started posting. That was a bit inconsistent, though I gained some traction. And right now, the last platform I joined is the biggest platform. And the first one I joined, I barely post on right now.
Yeah. I mean, that's how it goes. And TikTok they have found the algorithm that is, it can benefit small creators if you're having good content. So more and more creators are, taking advantage of that.
Sure.
You're also the founder of Wecheza, as we said. So what is this company? What are you doing with this company?
So I'm still in the figuring out phase of Wichesa, but basically the main point of it is to grow Kenyan women's football as a start. But later on, that will grow to Africa and the world, I believe. Though this comes in using 3 pillars. So catering for the fans, for the athletes, and for like the business side of stuff. So branding in a way. Using those 3, we are hoping to create a network, an ecosystem where athletes are catered well for. And once they're catered well for, they can start reflecting parts of their lives online, let's say. Then that would bring more fans. And once more fans come, you'll be able to reach out to brands and be like, hey, you are lining this club. Would you want to be part of it by sponsoring or doing something to help them improve? We have this many eyeballs from the fans. So like just making that ecosystem, because it's something quite basic in my opinion. Though in Kenya, it's still not really been implemented in women's sports or women's football. So I'm hoping to fill that gap while also creating community impact.
That's great. So how is in Kenya and in Africa, how is the interest for women's sports and women's football maybe in particular? I live in Sweden, so know Europe the best, but here it's really picking up, and also in the United States. Is that the same in Kenya?
Yes, and I'm relatively new to the women's sports side here. I started following up in 2022. It's actually ironic. I followed up the England's league before my own league. But yeah, I was shocked when I found out that the Kenyan professional league has been there since 2014. And once I had Canada, started the league earlier this year, I was like, Kenya has actually been there for a while, and they've had potential to grow to like a better version of themselves, but people haven't really cared that much on it, sadly. So the hunger is there, definitely. The passion is there. Kenyans would watch a football match. As long as the football is good, they don't care who's playing, And also national pride is quite there. So I see high potential, and that's inevitable and was going to happen soon enough with Kenyan women's football. Great sign of it is the under-17 women's team. They qualified for the World Cup in 2024. But last year, that was actually a while ago. But it's a sign of how the most neglected, in my opinion, side of Kenyan football, the young girls, made it to the global stage, being the first Kenyan group to do that. So yeah, in a few years and the decades to come, I'll be really excited to see where Kenyan women's football goes.
For sure. And I know you wrote an article, Women's Sports Didn't Fail the System, They're Building a Better One. And I've talked a lot about that on the podcast, that the women's sports need to have do their own thing. They have their own demands, their own ecosystem, and not just make a copy paste of the men's. So that's how you see it as well?
Yes, definitely. I honestly believe that we don't have to copy what has already existed. We have a great opportunity to redefine how women's sports should be and how we want it to be. And we shouldn't waste that by being like, oh, this has existed, let's just copy that. That's just the easy route and we can do better. Even in my recent piece on the Women's Sports Tech Journal on LinkedIn, I talked about how next year's sports tech would be quite different in terms of the community impact through social media. And in it, I just realized how women's sports brings a new version of sports tech in the industry. And I'm quite excited to see where that goes.
For sure. And you talk a lot about sports tech, innovation, fan engagement. So where do you now, AI is coming in and it's more and more technology. So where do you see this going?
AI is quite tricky. I always say that tech is just the tool and we're the drivers of it. So we are the ones to decide what we want from it. Though with AI, honestly, it can be applied almost anywhere and everywhere for the good or bad side of things. So my answer would be quite biased, though I would say in terms of the content side, AI would probably make it easier for a lot of clubs to release things, as long as you just get a full game recording, let's say, there'll be multiple, hopefully affordable and accessible programs online where you can just feed the AI the game footage and it helps with the analysis, content, clips to post online, to like brand yourself better and just make the whole process of marketing a bit better for the club and also tactical side a bit better. So yeah, I'm quite excited to see that.
Me too. And you have also argued that it's the creators that will build the next generation of sports fandom and not maybe the traditional media in such case. And I mean, you are a content creator. Do you see content creators taking a bigger part in fandom and fan engagement going forward?
I actually just had a conversation a few days ago on the Season 1 platform with Match One, and he was telling me how the use of VR and XR is going to be quite useful in the sports industry. And I told him how, honestly, with my generation, Gen Z, we don't really sit down for the whole football game. Like, I don't think I've ever done that. I get bored. I have to have my phone nearby or an alternative device to do something, whether it's posting my thoughts or just scrolling and doing another activity. So with the VR headsets, let's say, and augmented reality, you can have another activity to do with the headset without having to have multiple devices. And how content creators come in, you can also have a live stream of your favorite creator in a more immersive experience. So let's say you'd see them as if they're in the room with you, you'd be able to interact better. And you also be able to like access things like statistics of players when using real-time detection on the VR headsets and augmented reality.
Yeah. It's an interesting time, as you said, the young generation, you talk a lot about the like shorter attention span that they have and doing multiple things. So maybe, as you said, the traditional media, a young person is not interested in watching the whole game in its entirety. Maybe you want to check highlights or you're watching the game and doing something else simultaneously. Do you think that then the traditional media in that sense is not really fulfilling the younger consumers?
Yes, I truly believe that. I don't remember the last time I watched a full football game on TV. And that's because normally I would watch with my sister, but she's halfway across the world. So watching a game is quite boring. That's also a gap that this tech would fill, being able to watch games with friends without being there in person, which has its own consequences, but it can be quite useful in some instances. Traditional media is quite boring. They're not innovative and they're not really catering for the women's sports industry because you've seen issues of the WSL kickoff timings being a bit early and the fans complaining. Then the whole league just changes it from 11:55, and I'm like, the fans is what brings you revenue, you should respect the fans a bit more, That's why I see places like YouTube being the main sport of streaming for football games and sports games because I know YouTube's quite innovative and I know they'll adapt the immersive technology experience of watching games and interacting better with the community during live streams or being able to like turn the video clips into direct things you can show on social media. So my biggest bet would be on YouTube. With the work with Google, they'll do amazing.
That's an interesting take because I work a lot in ice hockey. I know that's not huge in Kenya, but the Swedish Women's Ice Hockey League moved from to have a traditional media contract to be on TV to YouTube for this season. And it was seen mostly as a downgrade that, okay, TV didn't want to invest in them, so now they are on YouTube. But maybe what you're saying is that maybe this is the right place to be and they might attract a younger audience or like the new type of audience that they wouldn't have otherwise.
True. And with YouTube, another benefit I have is streaming democracy. You don't have to have a paywall. Like, let's say if I want to watch something on ESPN, if I'm not using my local broadcaster, be smashed with a paywall just as soon as I want to watch something of like $17 for a year. And okay, that could be a wrong amount, but it would be a long subscription when I just want to watch one game. While YouTube, you can be scrolling and it's catered to you, whatever pops up. So you click on it. If you don't like it, you move on. If you like it, you subscribe, you keep watching, So it makes it more accessible. YouTube, I believe it's available in majority of the countries across the world. So yeah, just adds on to the accessibility compared to like some other streaming sites like Amazon Prime or it is Prime Video. When I was trying to watch a show and it's like, oh, it's not available in your region, So yeah, that's the benefit YouTube has.
And we're talking about the women's sports need to do their own thing, not copying the men's. Is there also like cultural or other differences that you need to take into account now? You are in Africa. Are there other needs? Do the fans want other things? There is like a westernization of something that you're trying to copy that. Do you see it as a difference, or do you see that like a women's football fan in Kenya is like they have similar needs, so to say, than someone in England, for example?
I believe that the needs are the same, well, more or less, because for you to play well, as an athlete, for you to play well, you need to be well physically, mentally, emotionally, So that means like a decent salary, a safe place to live in, all the nitty-gritty stuff. But as of now, as much as the needs are similar, I wouldn't say that we, Kenya and other places that are developing, to just copy and paste, like if we're not doing that for the men's game, why should I do it in Kenya? Like you can get some inspiration on the stuff because you have similarities, similar needs and similar goals, but it shouldn't be the blueprint, With Kenya and Africa as a whole, I see the advantage of cultural inclusion. There's a video I did recently during a basketball tournament, first one I've covered. I'm not so sure if you're aware of the Kenyan bracelet.
I think I've seen it, but I don't know about it or the meaning.
So it's just a bracelet with a flag of Kenya designed on it. And in Africa, it's a big thing. Like if you're seeing the Kenyan bracelet, they're like, you're that person, like you have vibes, you have light. Because Kenya is amazing, I'm biased. So during the end of the tournament, it was the final day. There's some basketballers who are playing that were willing to take part in the videos that we posted. And as a thank you gift, I got these bracelets and I recorded myself gifting them, And that was a win-win in so many scenarios. To the players, they got a personalized gift, giving them some memory from a new location that they were in, and just making the whole player experience a bit better. From a fan and community aspect for Kenyans, it was like, oh, this is such a nice thing to do because we love giving people and gifting. And we love gifting the Kenyan bracelet, So that was like cultural significance in one way. Plus, it's authentic storytelling. There are a lot of girls, a lot of basketballers who say no to the video because they're a bit shy. I know that's one barrier that still a lot of people have to go through. At least for the ones who stood up and were like, yeah, sure, I would love to do that. Even though they were scared, that was like a small gift that they also received for the courage.
Interesting. How's the women's sport in Kenya in general? Is football the biggest sport? How does the sport landscape look in Kenya?
I believe football is the biggest sport, but again, I'll be biased. So it gets the most hype. It's loved a lot. Yeah, I probably should be keeping up with other sports a bit more. I would say after football, it would probably be basketball, then women's volleyball. Ironically, they've really dominated in Africa. I think they're like 11-time champions back to back, which is crazy.
Wow.
Oh, athletics exists. I keep forgetting that we dominated athletics in the world stage. But the way I just remember the sport, I was like, oh yeah, we also do well in that. It's kind of the way the sports scene is in Kenya. On the global stage, it may be a bit up and down, but in Africa, I believe that we generally dominate a few sports there.
Interesting. I like the sports is so great in many things for your physical health, mental health, but also a lot of learnings you can take from sports to be a good teammate and overcoming adversities and so many other things. So great to hear that it's also a big interest for sports in general in Kenya. And I've spoken to, I don't know if you're aware of them, Amy Wandai and Cynthia Mambo, both of them working in like African Sports Network and Sports Connect Africa. So a lot of very driven women in the sports industry, it seems, yourself included, of course. So that's a great thing to see.
Thank you. I've heard of both of them. I've not yet talked to Amy, but Cynthia is a really good friend. Yeah.
Ah, that's great. Didn't know that. Yeah, again, we talked about the name of, if you're going back to your company, the 14th Gunner, but Wecheza, if I pronounce that correctly, does that mean something, or where did that come from?
I'm loving these questions. So when I name things, I think it through, which is a silly play where we was similar. It sounds similar to women. That's what symbolizes we women. Then cheza means play in Swahili. So it was women play, Wichesa. Yeah, at the start it was just for women who play sports in Kenya, Kenyan Swahili name inside of it. Sorry, a Swahili word inside of it. And our goal is just to help women because as much as that's a bit biased, I believe that the men get a lot of support and the women are left. So to even it out a bit is to just cater to what's needing attention right now, I believe.
Yeah, definitely. And you're building women's football community in Kenya from grassroots tournaments to global partnerships. Can you give some examples of some things that you have done with Wichesa?
So last December, we co-partnered with 2 football Christmas tournaments, one by Essia Akida. She's a Kenyan national star. I think she's the top scorer in the whole country, but most people don't know that because nobody really keeps up with women's football history, sadly, but they will know that soon. So we collaborated with her to help out her tournament in Kilifi. That's along the coastal region in Kenya. And also another professional footballer who's currently injured. She's called Madeline Nekesa. Her other name is MJ. She's played for the national team, was a regular, and she also played in Slavia Prague in Czech Republic, and Essia had played in Greece. PAOK. So they're one of the few Kenyan players who have made it out of Africa to play. Yeah, now it's growing, but yeah. So I was happy to partner with them. We donated sports bras and sanitary towels to each player that was participating to help the players be more comfortable on and off the pitch, because those are the small details that really add up in the whole athlete experience.
Interesting. You're a young woman and have done so many things already, being an entrepreneur. So did this come natural to you, or how has it been to be working for yourself at such a young age?
Let me pause on that. I forgot to talk about Her Game 2 partnership with Wecheza.
Yeah.
So have you heard of Her Game 2?
No.
It's a UK NGO that focuses on inclusivity of women and young girls in sports and the side of football. So we helped them partner with 2 Kenyan clubs and making the first African partnership. So that was really cool. So the 2 clubs were Kayole Starlets and Kahawa Pride FC. So yeah, we're still in the making of the whole partnership and what the systems would be like, but it was quite exciting. Now to answer the question, my whole journey. Honestly, it's just a whole journey of figuring it out, because I never knew that I would end up where I am right now. I still have a lot to do, a lot to learn, but I'm just doing my best and figuring it out. I'm sure you probably don't know that I've not joined university yet. I've been on a gap year since 2023, and I'm just doing things that interest me, that align with my passion, my core values, and just trying to solve things, and hopefully making a path that when I look back, I'm like, oh, that actually really made sense. And I'm happy I did that, It's quite scary, I won't lie, but so far it looks good. So I think I'm doing something right.
Definitely. And my question was basically like this entrepreneurial spirit. Is that something that you feel has come natural to you? Or why did you decide to not just work for an existing company? Why did you decide to start your own?
First of all, existing companies probably didn't think I was experienced, because like right now, university degree, a 19-year-old, they're like, hey, I want to work with y'all. I don't have any credibility that you can see apart from my social media page. Would you hire me? In Kenya, that's not going to work, because here they're always about have your degree or some relevant work. Okay, you're lucky if you find some place that says if you have work experience, they'll hire you. But my qualifications on paper are terrible. Okay, not right now, but they used to be terrible. So I just decided to start my own initiative. But the entrepreneurial side of or spirit of me, I feel like it's just been in me. I wouldn't say it came naturally, but there's some signs early in my childhood that showed that and reflected that. So yeah, all a journey of improving and just following your passion, I guess. Yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, definitely. And, following your passion is great, and taking your destiny in your own hands, so to speak, that you felt like if you weren't able to getting a job at the moment and you had a passion, then you started your own company and followed that passion and you digged out your own path.
Also, a really bad early riser, a night owl. And honestly, if I were to be hired by somebody while I'm in Kenya, I would probably go for someone in a different time zone towards the West Coast, whether it's West Africa or the States, because that would actually tap into my peak hours. I normally work from like 4 p.m., 2 a.m. In the morning. I'm so lazy. Whether or not I wake up early, I have no passion to do anything. I just want to sleep. I don't even feel like eating. So yeah, I think that's also another factor. Normal jobs just start at 9 a.m. I don't want to even leave the house at 9 a.m., let alone be awake. So
Yeah. You're not a morning person.
definitely not.
Yeah, as you said, then you found a way to get around that. So you started your own company instead.
Yeah, be my own boss so I can sleep whenever I want.
Exactly. Love that. You've done a lot in a short period of time. You're still, as we said, you're young, but this far in your career, has there been any bumps on the road, any difficulties? And if so, how did you overcome them?
Even you calling it a career so far is crazy because I'm just doing what I love. It doesn't feel like a job, The other day I was asked, do you have a job? And I was like, no, I'm just 19. That's normal in Kenya, 19-year-olds not having a job is kind of sad. But yeah, obviously the bumps on the road. The major one right now is still figuring out whether I need to go to university. Part of me, the techie, startup, passionate person is like, nah, I don't need university. Like immersive technology, what I would go study. I can learn that online. Whatever universities have right now is outdated information because the industry is growing and things are still being developed, like I can do better outside. But the other part of me is like, okay, I need university for a bit of exposure to a new life, a new area. I wouldn't study in Kenya. I know that the programs here are bad, but in terms of what I want to study, it isn't as developed here. So I'll probably like go to the States, but with the current state of the States right now, it's kind of like, do I don't and leave, So one of the bumps would probably be deciding whether or not to go. It's on and off. It's very annoying, but I think eventually I'll have to. That would probably be the biggest bump that I think of day to day. Yeah. Then also just for social media is showing up regardless of what you post and what metrics show up, because I think that every creator has to go through is forgetting about the numbers and just enjoying the process of creating, As an artist, I don't feel obligated to post according to a certain calendar, but I had to change the perspective to be like, okay, I'm not forced to post, but I get to post. I get to express myself and I get to set up 3 posts in a week. Not more than that, not less, just 3 posts minimum. And you've ticked the goal for the journey, So those are probably the main 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Your revenues, are they coming mostly from your like content or from Wichesa, or how's that working?
Wecheza doesn't have any source of revenue as of now. Thankfully, the first source of support, monetary support we got was through our grant from an US NGO that I used to work with as a teen advisor, Gallup. So I'm grateful for that. I really need to create revenue streams from Wecheza because I have so many ideas and ways we can contribute and impact the Kenyan community a bit more. Yeah, but it's yet to be implemented. My main sources of revenue come from content creating and mainly from TikTok. When a campaign comes around, they call me up and they're like, okay, let's work together. You need this amount of videos, this is the content brief posted during the tournament. And yeah, that's how I normally get paid.
Interesting. It would be interesting to follow your journey for sure. A lot of young listeners on this podcast may be similar to your age, maybe slightly younger or older, but they want to make a career in the sports industry. What would be some advice that you have for them?
I would say to do it scared, really. Don't come to the table thinking that you need to have everything in place, like I came unknowingly. I came and stuck with it, and I'm glad that I took the opportunity to figure it out and reach out for help because a lot of people helped me out from the start of my journey in the sports industry, giving it a chance, showing some support and gaining experience and learning from them. I still learn from a lot right now, And soon you'd be the one who would be connecting people and giving advice. Like the other day, I gave advice to not little. Actually, she's older than me now that I think of it. She was 20 and I'm 19 and I'm calling her little. But she was asking me on advice on how to enter the sports industry. And I was so shocked because I'm like, you're coming to me? I'm your reference. Then there's another person who recently told me to connect her with somebody else. I was like, oh, now I'm making connections between people. I was the one who's being connected. So just take one step at a time and everything will line up as long as you follow your passion and keep improving, and ask for help. Yeah.
That's great advice. And I think it's important to ask someone like yourself as well, because I've had a lot of people on the podcast who has worked 50 years. And of course, they have a lot of great tips to share. But you are like right there right now. You're also young, so you're coming with maybe better of what's trending now, what's happening now, how is it like to apply for a job now? Like you're having a skill set and a knowledge that maybe someone who has worked 50 years doesn't have at the moment. So I think definitely it's of value that someone is asking you advice because you are in it at the moment.
Yeah. And another thing that I would add on would be like believe in yourself, even if you don't fully have the belief. Just fake it till you make it, because belief, like confidence comes from belief first, So always believe that you have something to bring to the table. Don't just be like, oh, I'm young, I don't have experience, my knowledge is still like really low. All I have is time, but I don't even know if I'll be able to complete X and Y. But just try and give yourself a bit of grace while you're coming into the industry, because you will make a lot of mistakes, but you'll also be able to learn from them if you give yourself the chance to.
Definitely. Looking ahead, where do you see yourself in the next couple of years? I mentioned that you said that you don't know if you want to study or not, but anything else that is on your radar for the future?
To redefine sports tech, whenever I look at sports tech, I always hear things related to biology, how to use lactic acid, VO, max, whatever that is, like the breath. Yeah, whatever that is. I don't even know. I dropped biology in year 9. That was a bad decision. I didn't like the teacher. Though whenever I look at sports tech degrees, they're all biology focused. I even made an article about this. Though sports tech is way more than that, And I really want to redefine the industry and build community while doing that, because often in the tech industry, there's a lot of pizzazz, but not as much of empathy and human connection with tech. And I want to combine those two industries and redefine it while also being able to explore the world using sports and making impact, hopefully positive impact. Yeah.
That's a big goal. So redefining sports tech and traveling the world.
To be honest, traveling the world is such a common one. And redefining the sports tech industry, like if there's nothing that's currently existing as, okay, the things that are existing, but they're quite few, there's less competition. You have the whole opportunity to build it. Like it's not that hard.
Yeah.
Saying that.
And on a networking question, so who from your network do you think would be a good guest on this show?
Funny thing, actually, shortly before this podcast, I was like, okay, who do I think of? I would say Kazme, because I recently talked about her game too. She's one of the co-founders. And I believe she has a lot of things to say regarding her experience and just like her process throughout the women's game. Yeah.
That's a good one. If there was something like that you really want to mention about your company or something that you're doing, if you want to do some shout outs for any of your channels or anything you spoke forward, if people wants to reach you, where should they go?
To my LinkedIn. And if you want to find my email, it's somewhere on the LinkedIn. Like nobody really uses the contact info section as much. So one thing I would say to the viewers watching this, I would tell you guys to invest in African women's sports, because it's a true gold mine and y'all are missing out if you don't. If I had the money right now, trust me, I would be spending a ton, because I see the potential. First of all, the statistic that every 1 in 3 youth by 2050 will be African is one thing. Sports is driven by youth. So without youth, no sports, no way. That's one big thing. Another thing, the continent is ever growing, fastest rate of growth. I know people have been singing that for years, for decades maybe, but it's truly showing not only in the sports industry, but in the tech, in the fashion industry, like countless things across the continent. Each country has its own specialities. Then when it comes to community and just the whole sense of sports, it's a whole blend of multiple sections. And the way women's sports is movement, where it's kind of like women empowerment, that's really thrived in Africa. Like Africa is one of the continents that has the most female CEOs. And the fact that there's that statistic of 94% of C-suite executives show that they've played sport in some point of their life. It shows that like entrepreneurship and sports go hand in hand in one aspect. And if the CEOs are there, I'm sure they've also played sports in some point of their life. So they see the importance of that and they'll be willing to make it better. But generally just invest more because you're all focusing on, let's say, Europe or North America or whatever. Like the global south is here. And if you miss it, that's too bad. But I won't. Yeah.
I love that. That's a great way to finish up. Invest in African sports.
Yes, African sports in general. Like even with AFCON coming up, it feels better than Christmas. The men's side of sports, yeah, it's also okay. But like the whole vibe of the tournament, I've heard a lot of people say that AFCON is better than the World Cup. The American one that's coming up next year, maybe. But like when you think of AFCON on its own, I think of the music, I think of the culture, the energy, the fun, joy, the memes that come out of it, the players, there are a lot of nitty-gritty issues that can be solved. But sports is truly what you feel. And Africa gives you that feeling very easily. So that's why I stay on that, invest in African sports, women's sports for bonus points. Yeah.
I love that. Gloria, thank you so much for taking the time to join Sports Management Podcast.
Thank you so much, Marcus. I really appreciate it. I honestly thought this would be a bit more nerve-wracking, but you made it so conversational. And yeah, I'm grateful.
I appreciate that. Thanks so much. Thank you for listening to the Sports Management Podcast. Please hit the follow or subscribe button on your podcast app so you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes. If you want to get in contact with me, send an email to sportsmpodcast@gmail.com, connect with me on LinkedIn, or follow the podcast on Instagram, X, and Facebook @sportsmpodcast.
Most drivers overpay for car insurance, not because they're careless, but because the system is needlessly complicated. Jerry fixes that. Traditional comparison sites give you quotes once, then disappear. But Jerry can handle all the insurance shopping legwork and never stops working. Compare 50-plus insurers side by side and purchase directly in the app. No spam calls, no hidden fees. They'll even monitor price trends and can alert you to better rates. Drivers who save with Jerry could save over $1,300 a year. Download the Jerry app or visit jerry.ai/Libsyn today.